Hello, and welcome to the Collapse Experiment, where we can now talk about an actual physical collapse happening right before your eyes. And it's all surrounding a podcast that I have been following since 2020. Yeah, Timcast. Holy crap. Well, I have to be honest, I wasn't really following Adam Krigler's stuff until very, very recently. Uh, Once he left the show, you can only devote so many hours a day to different podcasts. And for me, I stuck with Timcast. Several reasons. I like the guests that they're having on the show, but it became very apparent over the last 2 years that there is a ton of drama going on behind the scenes. So, when Adam started posting on Twitter, yes, it's all going to come out. Here's my video, blah, blah, blah. I watched the 6-hour live stream. And I was not surprised. I already had speculation that either Sour Patch Lids was in love with Tim, or that they were sleeping together, or both. Not surprised at all. I couldn't figure out how the hell a nurse with absolutely no technical background got hired in to produce a show. That made no sense to me. So, anyways, getting back to Krigler, I don't think anything that he said was out of line. I think he was just telling the truth. Tim definitely has a problem with the truth. For one, if it doesn't go along with YouTube's guidelines, he won't cover it. Even when he has people like Steve Bannon on, who are staunch pursuers of truth when it comes to certain polls that determine races. Yeah, Tim definitely either refuses to listen, doesn't want to hear it, knows that it will affect his income. So, yeah, I'm just not surprised when it comes to that. Then there was Tim's response. So 11 a.m. the next day, on his own, Tim does a live stream. And he spends over an hour. This goes on for like 3 hours. The first hour is just him talking about himself, as Tim tends to do. So, Tim's talking about himself, telling his story, his history, why he's so great, why he's the best, how he started the company, about how, and then he goes into explaining how he was paying Adam too much, which is hilarious because if you look at the numbers, the show was doing a hell of a lot better when Adam was on it than when after he left. It didn't matter if Jack Murphy was on there. It didn't matter if Michael Malice was on there. There was a bump, but the normal amount of viewers and the number of people watching the show dropped after Adam left. And Tim was trying to make a bunch of excuses that, he had his own separate channel. Whenever they did the show, he was blaming Adam for not having different content than what he covered during the day. However, you're doing a daily, nightly show, Monday through Friday, where you're covering different topics. And of course, Tim is covering all of the most popular topics throughout the day. So, how much you want to bet Adam would be looking for stuff, find something, and then they'd get ready for the show, and Tim's like, oh, I already covered that. Of course you did. It was one of the top trending stories of that day. So you have your own personal YouTube channel where you cover the news, and then you want to have a nightly show of different people talking about different topics, but it can't be the topics that you covered beforehand because that's going to cut into your revenue. Yet you own both shows. Didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Tim apparently wanted to have his money from his separate show completely separate from the other one that he was doing. Whatever, I can kind of sort of understand that. But maybe Adam wasn't the problem here. And later on, what ends up happening, oh yeah, Adam does his own show and he starts making his own revenue and having money coming in. That's interesting. Almost sounds like what the other guy was doing. So there's this aspect of the firing of Adam Krigler that I think has been overlooked. And it's Tim trying to say he felt like he could be sued because Adam yelled at Lydia. Oh yeah, he could be sued if he fired Lydia because they're sleeping together. She could sue him totally for sexual harassment, abuse of power. A lot of this has already been established. Tim runs the company and he's fucking an employee. I think Tim overall is a smart guy. He's very ambitious. I think there's more ambition than intelligence when it comes to his story, which usually go hand in hand in a lot of regards. But the fact that he put himself in that situation where if he fired the one employee who was the pain in the ass and she could turn around and sue him and win, oh, she would win. She would totally win. This is why Adam encouraged him to get her to sign an NDA. Because she could end up being Tim's, oh, what was her name? The porn star that Trump slept with. That could end up being Tim's version of that situation where even that chick signed an NDA, went ahead and wrote a book. Not that I want to know what Tim's penis is like, but Lydia knows. So, yeah, that's the lawsuit there. That's the problem. And it would not only financially ruin his company, but ruin his relationship with his girlfriend. And who knows what the story is really behind that. I mean, he did hire his girlfriend to run certain aspects of the company. He's becoming very well known for hiring people with little or no expertise to do certain things just out of loyalty, which is a horrible way to run a company. You want the most experienced. Hey, go away. What's your deal? What are you doing? What's your problem, dude? Roosters, I tell ya. So, yeah. I think that's part of the story that has been overlooked is the fact that Lydia has him still by the balls, and that hasn't changed. And Tim put himself in this situation, and it's amazing. He never ever really wants to address anything. Even when Jack Murphy stopped appearing on the show for obvious reasons. Never addressed it. Never talked about Adam being fired. Never really talked about Lydia all of a sudden getting married and leaving and starting an OnlyFans. Yeah, because that's when you know you hired class in your company. It's when they leave to go to OnlyFans. So that's about it. That's my thoughts on the downfall of the Tim Pool podcast. Yes, Elon Musk is probably going to be appearing on the show. This is part of damage control. Have somebody so cool that people forget about what's going on. Not going to work for me. I'm kind of curious about the Milo Yiannopoulos episode, because apparently there was some back and forth between Tim and him, because Milo doesn't shut up either. But just haven't brought myself to watch it, because I stopped watching Timcast about a week before Milo, and haven't really missed it. So anyways, that's about it for me today. Keep on typing.